Yeah, it's interesting, that you get them, so back to back, and they only had one game of inventory for us to see in between. So, yeah, it's interesting, and they're dealing with it too. So it's always a little bit funky, but yeah, they'll have something new for us, as will we for them.
So that was Jared Goff talking about facing the Bears in such a finite period of time. The Bears, of course, lost to the Lions 31-26. They blew that game against Detroit at Ford Field a couple of weeks ago.
Yep.
In the meantime, Chicago has only played one game since that. They beat the Vikings, that ugly game in prime time, 12-10. They kicked 4 field goals and then had a bye week, so that the Bears have only played one game since playing the Lions, Maz.
And look what happens at the end of the year. The Lions play the Vikings with 1 week in between.
Right.
So it's a wacky schedule the way they made it this year. But you got 3 games out of the last 5 against your division. And I've been preaching just win those 3 games. But something in me is a little nervous about this game. And I don't know. I don't know why I can't get over this game coming up.
I will fully admit, for the first time this entire season, I've come in here on a Friday, and I don't know if the Lions will win. And I, even when they went to Baltimore and got trucked, my belief system was that they were going to go play really good football and win that football game. But this game, for me, it just feels a little off. And I'll tell you why. I think defensively this team is really, really beaten down. In the secondary, along the defensive front, one of the things Dan Campbell was talking about today that they were trying to do this week, Aleem McNeil plays, 60, 70 plays a game.
Wow.
The Lions don't have one guy that is going to come in, step up, and fill that 60 to 70 play gap. One of the things that they've been trying to do all week is really have some sort of a rotation, a situational rotation where guys, based on down and distance, could come in and just a couple of plays here, maybe one there, maybe one there. That's how they're going to survive the Aleem McNeil situation, Maz, because right now they just don't have one guy that can come up and fill in and play 60, 70 plays a game.
Let's face it, man. The guys that we've been talking about, the Josh Pascals of the world, the Isaiah Buggs, bunch of guys that they brought up from the practice squad. They even took a guy off the practice squad today because the Tennessee Titans were after him. And we'll talk about him in a little bit. But those guys got to step up their game, man. And they got to help out. And I'm hoping Bruce Irvin, last week, what did he play? 20 snaps or something like that? Maybe a little bit less. I think they got to step him up this week. And I doubt we're going to see Alou in this game. Tyson Alou, who they just signed, he hasn't played in over a year. So I'd probably see him at all. But I want to see Bruce Irvin. I want to see Josh Pascal, guys like that to really step up. But really, I'm really invested right now on Bruce Irvin. I loved what I saw of him last week. A couple plays he makes. He just looks like a difference maker. And I know he's 36 years old, and he's been around the block and finished last year with Seattle, or a playoff team. That's the kind of guy I really do like the signing now that it's happened. Would I have rather, of course, had a bigger name like Chase Young or
Montez
Sweat, guys like that, big names like that. Yeah, but these guys know what they're doing, and I got to trust in what Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell to bring it to the table.
Yeah,
guys got to help each other here.
No doubt. You bring up Bruce Irvin, and as Matt Broder puts down in the chat here, he played 11 snaps last week, and one of the things we've been saying is double that this week, right? At least double that and see what this guy can do. But the John Kaminsky's of the world, the Josh Pascals of the world, the Quentin Bohannas of the world. Heaven forbid.
Your boy Bugs.
How about, Broderick Martin for a second?
3rd round pick.
This is a day 2 draft pick. It's late in the season. You got to perform now. When your team needs you the most, these guys have to step up. And we mentioned this. The Lions give up 93 yards a game rushing.
Yep.
The Bears rushed for 183.
Yeah.
More than double.
Yep.
They got what the Lions
most
average.
Most of it the first half.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the quarterback Fields himself rushed for over 100. And that's a quarterback that's playing for his life there in Chicago. That's a coaching staff that's coaching for their existence in Chicago. Is Matt Eberflus ever going to get a second head coaching job? Probably not. When you play with desperation, and the Chicago Bears are desperate, I don't think they've given up on this season. There's a difference, Maz, I think, when you have, a team that's lost more than they've won, and the Chicago Bears come in 4-8. But if you look at their schedule, and you can call me crazy all you want, if you look at their schedule, there is no reason with that defense and that quarterback that they can't win 5 in a row and make the playoffs at 9-8. I don't think that's the case at all. But I do think there's a chance it happens. And if nothing else, in that room, they have to believe that, the Chicago Bears. And anytime you have a desperate team like Chicago, and Chicago is desperate, Maz, you have to match their intensity. And one of the things that the Lions have not been doing over the last several weeks is playing with any sort of urgency. That final drive against New Orleans was probably the most urgency we've seen this football team play with in a long, long time. In weeks, that is.
And it took some tough passes and tough catches to get that done. We spoke to Jason McKee yesterday, the sideline reporter for the Bears, a longtime fullback in the NFL. And we asked him about that. Is this team playing still for like a playoff spot? He's like, this whole staff is playing for their jobs. So to say they're not trying to win would be foolish. They are trying to win, and they would like nothing more than to get a little revenge on the Detroit Lions, because the Lions have been owning them lately, right? And they stole that game at home just a few weeks ago. So look out for the Bears in this game. They're home. The weather is on their side. They're not indoors. The Lions are an indoor team. They're much better indoors than they are outdoors. I know they've won on the coast, and they can win outside in some good weather. But the weather's going to be kind of like what it is here, like a little bit more chilly. You might get a little rain, might get a little snow. They got to get the lead early again, Ryan, because they play really well when they're out in front. They can't play from behind. I don't want them playing from behind.
I want to go to the chat right now because Brad in the chat says playing with no urgency, 21-0 in the first 6 minutes isn't playing with urgency. That's my exact point. It was 21-0 in the first 6 minutes, and then before you know it, it was 24-21, and the Saints had the ball. Yes, that is not playing with much urgency, in my opinion. They came down, scored a touchdown, got a turnover, got a touchdown. It was 14-0 like nothing, but like very quick. But then all of a sudden, it's 24-21 Lions, and the Saints have the ball with an opportunity to take the lead. That, to me, speaks to a little bit of a
they had
coasting.
Yes, they had
a lull. That's a great word for it, that I don't think this football team can afford to play with this week. 4 turnovers in that game. I keep going back to that, and they still won. It was Matt Eberflus, though, in my opinion, that allowed the Lions to come back and win that game. Bears with the lead late. Run up the middle, timeout. Run up the middle, timeout. Bomb, overthrow.
No need for a timeout.
You've got all this time. It was Matt Eberflus's play calling.
It was over.
Yeah. At that point,
what happened last night with the Red Wings, guys? They got out to a 4-0 lead.
And lost 6-5 in overtime.
And they lost 6-5 in overtime. What happened is they had a lull. They fell asleep, up 4-0. Lions up 21-0 last week. I said, as much as it looked great, and remember the lead on on the LA Chargers, 24-0, right off the get-go. Could have been 31. And then they let the Chargers back in the game, little by little by little, and they never punted after that. They just kept scoring touchdown after touchdown. Last night, San Jose, goal after goal after goal. If you get the lead, there's got to be a way that you wake up and keep that lead. The Lions in the third quarter, they're horrible. I bet you they're near the bottom of the NFL for third quarter, scoring and giving up points. That's what they got to get handled. Get that third quarter underway. They got to figure a way to come out from the half and keep doing what they're doing in the first half.
This feels like a game that if the Lions do win, though, they really do shed every kind of label about them, right? I mean, not that they haven't done that throughout the season. They're 9-3, right? Not that they haven't done that already this season, but I feel like a majority of the fan base believes that there's something ugly about this Chicago game that's about to happen. Here's Jared Goff talking about that Bears defense that is playing really, really good football.
Yeah, I think they're so improved from earlier in the year and then even last year. You know, how how stout they are on the inside, how good they are against the run, and then how hard they play, man. They play hard, and they've got really good players on every level, and I think their coach has done a really good job of putting them in the right spots to make plays, and they're playing confidently.
They don't say the wrong thing, do they? This team is trained properly. All they do is compliment the other team. There's nobody coming out and saying, "Oh yeah, we're kicking the Bears' ass this week." There's none of that. This team is programmed Dan Campbell's way. Don't say anything, boys. Just show up there and bite some kneecaps.
No doubt. No doubt about it, guys. Absolutely. So we'll see what happens. Jared Goff, by the way, he's like a 500 quarterback in December.
That's not good. I don't want to hear that.
It should be some weather conditions as well. Should be some weather conditions.
This is the last outdoor game, guys.
16 and 13, Jared Goff in December over his career.
Until the playoffs, this is the last outdoor game. That means they win a game at home, then they go on the road to either Philly, San Francisco. Other than that, they'll host. They might even host Dallas if they happen to meet Dallas at one point, but they got to beat Dallas in a few weeks.